Good morning students. Today it is lecture 11 under the thermal properties of matter. In the last class we have learned the concept of anomalous expansion of water. Before that we have learned some of the problems up to the expansions, and we have started the concept based on liquids, that is thermal expansion of liquids. There we have learned the peculiar behavior of water called as anomalous expansion of water. So hope you understood what is the concept of anomalous expansion of water, where you know all liquids in nature will expand on heating and contract on cooling, but the one water will contract when the temperature goes from 4 degrees centigrade to 0 degrees centigrade. Means remember, so 0 to 4 degrees centigrade, if the temperature rises, then you can say if that is at 0 to 4 degrees centigrade, the temperature has been raised, but water contracts. So this is the one concept you have observed, right? Suppose if it is from 4 degrees centigrade to 0 degrees centigrade, it expands. Means as the temperature decreases, the one water expands. So the peculiar behavior of water you have observed yesterday, and at the same time you have learnt one application based on the aquatic animals, the practical applications of anomalous behavior of water. They have learned how the aquatic animals live underwater even during severe winter, how they survive even during severe winter when they are below the one water, right? This is the one concept you have observed. So today let me go for one more point in this, where regularly you learn about expansion of liquids, and you already know the liquid should be taken in a container. If you want to heat the liquid, then what happens? There you can observe, along with the expansion of the liquid, expansion of the vessels takes place. That you cannot notice yourself, it is a negligible expansion. That I will tell you with showing one figure. You will understand how the one real expansion takes place, and one more called as apparent expansion. These things let us learn by learning one of the figure. Okay, so please observe expansion in liquids. Expansion in liquids. Here I just take a long neck having a round bottom flask. This is a round bottom flask in which I have taken a liquid in it. So I have taken a round bottom flask with a long neck. In this I have taken the one positions named as A, B, C. So please observe, I have named like this. What do you want to say here? Please observe, I have taken liquid in this. Now I just start heating the liquid. I want to heat the liquid. So remember, we have taken the round bottom flask, right? When you just heat from downwards, as you heat from downwards, then what happens here? Naturally, first let me fill the water up to the level B. So please observe, I will show the figure like this, where if the one water is filled in the one round bottom flask like this, first level is this is B. Okay, up to this level I am filling water. I am just heating this. So I am heating from downwards. I am heating this. The level the water is filled up to B level. it comes to a point. What is the reason behind? When you are just heating this you are putting this in a water bath. Suppose let me say, you know water bath means like this it will be, where that container will be having water, already that water has been boiled. This water has been boiled here. In this I am dipping this round bottom flask. So what happens? Already the water has been boiled, we are putting this, the one round bottom, that is the neck will be long, that vessel we are putting round bottom neck with long neck is put inside the one hot water. When you are putting this in hot water, the level will decrease and it falls to A. What is the reason behind this is, first the one expansion of the vessel takes place. Expansion of vessel takes place. Okay, so because it falls from B to A. B to A means it falls from B to A. Expansion of the vessel takes place. Liquid will never heat first. First vessel expands. But in our regular case, we do not observe that. That is a negligible concept, so we cannot see that. But here, the level falls here. Again, if you go on heat it, then what happens? The level rises from, that is, when it falls from B to A, now the level rises up to C. Level rises up to C. So when you heat it, again, what happens? The level rises to C means, what is the concept here? Now the liquid inside the container will be heated up. So earlier the vessel get heated up, now the liquid level will be heated now. So what happens? It rises from A to C. Earlier the level was up to B and it has been fallen from B to A because of expansion the vessel takes place, and now again I am continually heating this. What happens? Again what happens? The level rises from A to C. So the level rises, another one level rises from, that is A to C. So level falls here, this level rises from A to C. So now what happens? Expansion of liquid takes place. Expansion of liquid takes place. Liquid takes place. So what do you observe from this? So in this concept we observe, along with the liquid, expansion of the vessel also takes place. Expansion of the liquid as well as expansion of the vessel takes place. That you observe in expansion in liquids. So now I just write one formula where, that is BC. If I want to say BC, this is B to C. This is BC I want to say. When I want to say BC means nothing but AC plus AB. AC plus, that is nothing but, if you want to say only for this, where I say this is AC plus AB, where you can say nothing but called as the one here up to from A to C I said means what? From A to C, that the expansion takes place. That expansion we call it as, let me write first from A to C. A to C here. I just write from A to C first. A to C is equal to, what happens? This is nothing but, here from A to C it is rising here. At the same time I can say this is B to C, where BC minus AB. What do you mean by this? A to C it is there, BC, that is this is the one BC minus AB. What do you mean by this AB? AB is called as what? That is nothing but, you can also say from B to A you can say, where that is the one BC is called as real expansion, B to C is called as real expansion, and now AB is called as the expansion of the vessel. What is this AC? AC is called as apparent expansion. So let me write, this is called as AC, apparent expansion. Apparent expansion. Right? That is equal to, what is this BC? BC is called as real expansion. Real expansion. This, what is this AB called as? Expansion of the vessel. Expansion of the vessel. So here you have observed, that is apparent expansion, real expansion, and one more, expansion of the vessel. Nothing but expansion of the containing vessel. The one vessel which is containing liquid will be the one expansion you can observe here. So what is this real expansion now? If I want to say, if I take this side, this real expansion, if I take this side, apparent expansion plus the expansion of the vessel takes place. So I write now apparent expansion. Apparent expansion is equal to, this apparent expansion is there. Now plus I write the expansion of the vessel plus expansion of the vessel, expansion of the vessel, the liquid containing vessel, expansion of the liquid containing vessel. If I write, it is correct. Liquid containing vessel. Expansion of the liquid containing vessel. Equal to, what is this? It is called real expansion. It is called real expansion. So please observe, now we have written, that is the real expansion is equal to the one called as apparent expansion plus the one called as the expansion of the vessel. So here you can observe here, this is nothing but AC plus AB. AC plus AB is equal to BC. So this is what we have learned here. What is this? AC. AC, this is AC plus AB. This is equal to, it is AC. This is AC, or from A to C it is plus AB. This is AB, that is equal to BC. So this is what we observe here, expansion vessel. For this we have the condition where you can also learn about coefficient of expansions. That is coefficient of real expansion, coefficient of the one apparent expansion. For that we have one formula. I just give that formula. You need not derive that. You just remember that is enough. So using that, let us solve some of the problems when you come across any of the questions. Okay. Now just observe here. Today I just said about expansion in liquids. If I take directly solid means directly you can heat this. There is no problem. But when you want to take liquid, that should be taken in a container. So when you are saying container means first the expansion of the one vessel takes place along with the expansion of the liquid that you observe from this figure. Where you can observe this round bottom flask. First when it is dipped in hot water bath, you need not directly heat this because already if the water has been heated, then directly you can put into this water bath. When you are putting, this is hot water bath. Let me say, this is hot water bath. If I put like this, it is enough. If you put in this, you can observe directly. Earlier we have filled the water up to B level. So we have filled the water up to B level earlier. When I just dip in the hot water, what happens? The level falls. Means from B to A it falls. What is the reason level falls means? The first expansion of the vessel takes place that cannot be noticed by us but can be seen like this level. That is nothing but where expansion of the vessel takes place. First step. Okay. After that once again I am dipping this in water. When once it is again dipped in water, again the level from A to C it rises. The level rises from A to C. There I said expansion of the liquid takes place. Expansion of the liquid. So A to C, I say A to C means nothing but here we call it as apparent expansion. What is this BC? From B to C, this is the one, the original expansion, nothing but called real expansion. This is real expansion. What is this AB? Nothing but from also write AB or BA. Both are correct. This you can also write like or BA. This also you can write like this. Or BA. Both are correct. Expansion the liquid contain, that is containing vessel takes place. That we observe from this one. Now by using this formula we write where this is called as the one called as here, where apparent expansion plus expansion the containing vessel gives real expansion. That is the one real expansion you can observe from B to C. So this is the one formula. For this I just gave one concept where it is also called as the one called as the coefficient of real expansion and coefficient of the one apparent expansion can also be written by using the formula where I said volume expansion the earlier class. Liquid usually expands. I said that is only you come across a cubical expansion. Expansion of the one volume expansion or expansion of cubical expansion you can say, that is coefficient of cubical expansion. That symbol is gamma. Earlier we have learned alpha, beta, gamma. In that gamma is called as the coefficient of cubical expansion. That for that you can write the formula like this, where it is coefficient of real expansion is equal to coefficient of apparent expansion plus coefficient of the one vessel, right? The cubical, that is expansion of the containing vessel. So I write here one formula for this. Coefficient of apparent expansion plus coefficient of that is the cubical expansion of the vessel. Coefficient of cubical expansion of vessel. Expansion of vessel is equal to coefficient of real expansion. Coefficient of real expansion. Real expansion. So this is the one formula you can say, that is coefficient of. How do you write this symbol? You write for this apparent expansion is, that is gamma apparent. This is gamma apparent. For this, that is gamma, that is G. Nothing but coefficient of the cubical expansion of the vessel, which is made up of the vessel, where I get gamma G. That is equal to coefficient of this is real expansion. So coefficient of apparent expansion plus coefficient of the vessel is equal to coefficient of real expansion. You also have this formula like this, gamma apparent plus, that is gamma apparent plus gamma G is equal to gamma real. So we have, this is one more formula where you can come across in this when you come across the problem based on coefficient of these expansions. Okay, this directly by using the figure we write this things, and if you are calculating actually the one cubical expansion, you can use this formula. So this completes the one expansion in liquids, right? So just now we have completed expansion in solids, expansion in liquids. So this point we have learned. So now let us go for the next part. As per the syllabus we have learned the solids as well as the liquids. The next concept in this, which is very important here, where you come across the concept of the one specific heat capacity. Today we are learning the very important concept, specific heat capacity. So before going to that, I just give some of the concept based on the heat capacity, and then let us go for specific heat capacity. Okay. Now let me just go for the next part. First let me tell you what is heat capacity, and then let us go for the one next concept, specific heat capacity. Okay, now let me explain the concept of the one heat capacity, also called as this. Heat capacity is also called as thermal capacity. We also call it as thermal capacity. What do you want to say here in this case? Here means, here if I take some amount of heat to the substance, any substance if you take, that one, when you give some amount of heat, that will be heated up. So all the substances in nature, whenever that is, it will be having heat contents, and when you heat, that is, heat contents will be there. How do you come across this heat content? When you touch it, then you can observe that there is a temperature rise in it, and by using that you can say there is a heat capacity is present in that substance. Means the one, all substances in nature will have the heat content. When you heat it, naturally what happens? Temperature rises. As the temperature rises, then when you touch it, you feel the temperature has been raised, and that can be said to be heat capacity. Okay, so here when Q amount of heat, what is this Q? Q is the quantity of heat we are supplying to the substance. When you supply some amount of heat to it, naturally that will be heated to some temperature. The temperature has been raised. That is the one thing, but maybe 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin. So how much amount of heat you are supplying? Here that will be explained by taking some quantity of heat. That is maybe mass, which is of 1 kg of mass, and also suppose if it is of 1 degree centigrade substance, that is temperature has been raised, then you can explain the quantity of heat. So let me say here, let Q amount of heat is supplied to it, then Q amount of heat is supplied to it means, then you have to increase for some temperature, some T temperature, right? But if I say there is a delta Q amount of heat is supplied, delta Q amount of heat, then you have to increase for delta amount of, that is temperature. A small quantity of heat is supplied, there is a small quantity of temperature has been raised. A small quantity of heat is supplied to it, naturally small quantity of temperature has been raised. So delta Q is directly proportional to delta T. What is this delta T? There is a rise in temperature. So I can say if you have whole body, that is if you have the one body where you are raising the temperature by it through 1 degree centigrade, then that is called as, it is thermal capacity. The amount of heat raised, the amount of heat given to a substance to raise its temperature by 1 degree centigrade to the whole body is called as thermal capacity. For example, for your reference, I will just take one container of this type. Let me say this is one container we have. I am filling this container with some amount of one substance. Let me say I am filling this to 1 meter level. Right? This is 1 meter level. I am filling the substance. How much I am filling? I am filling, that is 1 meter of level. I am supplying the substance. I am heating this to 1 degree centigrade. Or you can also say 1 Kelvin. Both are correct. You can say 1 Kelvin. So maybe 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin, you are supplying the amount of heat to it. Okay. Now for this, so I am supplying Q amount of it. That is 1 joule of heat is supplied to it. For this 1 meter height, for 1 degree rise in temperature, I am supplying, that is 1 joule of heat. How much I am supplying? 1 joule of heat for this. Let me say for this 1 joule of heat is supplied. Let me say I have taken different measure, that is the shape of the body. Let me say the shape of the body is like this, and I am filling up to here. That level rises up to here is 1 meter, and I am rising the temperature to 1 degree centigrade. But when I wants to fill up to this amount means, let me say it is 3 kg amount of, that is 3 kg of substance is there in this. Here it is only 1 kg up to 1 meter, because the shape is different here. Here 3 kg amount is there, substance is there. Here 1 meter height you are filling this, you are heating to 1 degree centigrade. Right? So how much amount of heat should be taken? Here that is 3 joules of heat is applied to it, due to which it to raise the temperature of 1 degree centigrade. 3 joules of heat is applied to it. For example, if I take different shape like this, let me say the shape is like this here, and I am filling up to here the level. This is of 1 meter, and here the temperature is 1 degree centigrade, and here let me say this is of, that is 10 kg. Substance is there up to 1 meter. So I am supplying 10 joules of heat is to it, due to which it will raise the temperature to 1 degree centigrade. Means the amount of heat is applied to it to raise the temperature to 1 degree centigrade. So we are supplying the amount of heat to whole body. We are supplying to, that is whole body. The amount of heat is applied to whole body is. So you are supplying to whole body. Right? Observe here. Here it is 1 meter height. Here also 1 meter height, 1 meter height. But the shapes are different. But whole body, here remember, here only 1 kg of substance is there. Here 3 kg of substance is there. Here 10 kg of substance is filled up to level 1 meter. And temperature rising is 1 degree centigrade. Here also it requires 1 degree centigrade. Here also 1 degree centigrade. We are rising the temperature. So you are supplying 1 joule of heat to it. Because only 1 kg of the one substance is there, so 1 joule of heat is supplied. Suppose if it is 3 kg, you are supplying 3 joules of heat to it. Right? Means that is here it is applied to 10 joules of heat to it. Because 10 kg of substance is there, 10 joules of heat is applied to it. So what do you observe from this thermal capacity? Here delta Q is directly proportional to delta T. Delta Q is directly proportional to delta T, means that amount of heat which is applied to it means nothing but the thermal capacity. Whenever you want to say thermal capacity, then you can say that amount of heat supplied to it is thermal capacity is represented by delta Q by delta T. So here delta Q amount of heat is required and delta T is the rise in temperature that gives thermal capacity to rise the temperature to 1 degree centigrade. So I define this as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature, that is required to raise the temperature of whole body through 1 degree Kelvin is called as thermal capacity, or whole body to raise its temperature through 1 degree centigrade. Okay, so I am supplying the heat to increase the temperature to 1 degree centigrade. For this, for whole body it has been, the temperature has been raised, and that is called thermal capacity or heat capacity. So let me write the definition here for this, that is definition. Maybe the amount of heat required to raise the temperature required to raise the temperature, that is of whole body, temperature of whole body through 1 degree centigrade, through 1 degree centigrade is called thermal capacity, or heat capacity. So this is what you will learn for this heat capacity. So thermal capacity is equal to delta Q by delta T. What is delta Q? Delta is the amount of heat. You can say for this is nothing but heat energy given to it. What is the temperature? That is delta T. It is nothing but rise in temperature. Heat given to it. This is called as heat given to it. Heat given. It is rise in temperature. Hope this you understood. Heat capacity means It is delta Q by delta T. So heat given to it, that is nothing but rise in temperature. So you already know this thermal capacity for this. Now if I suppose, if I just put a tap to this, let me see. So the one tap, if I put it here, naturally here I adjust a tap to this. Here also I will adjust a tap to this. What happens here? The flow here will be same. That is nothing but the pressure is same. Pressure means rho GH. This you learned in previous chapter, mechanical properties of liquids. Here also P is equal to rho GH. Here also P is equal to rho GH. Remember, in all the three the height is 1 meter. So naturally here 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. Liquid is same. Then the one density is same. Height is same. So naturally pressure is same at all points. Pressure is same. You understand this because P is always directly proportional to H, you explain. So based on this, pressure is same in all the three cases. Right? So you can observe the one different shapes of the body are having different capacity because we are only filling up to 1 meter. But even then the capacity is different because of different shapes of the body. So here it mainly depends on capacity of the body. It mainly depends on capacity of the body, due to which the one heat given to it, naturally that is they are supplying some temperature. The temperature is same throughout, but the quantity is different. Here quantity is different, here is different, here is different. Naturally what you say, it depends on mainly the quantity of heat. Based on that, but the temperature rises 1 degree centigrade. Due to which the capacity is different for different shapes. It mainly depends on the capacity. Because of this, here only 1 joule of heat is enough. Here 3 joules of heat is required for the same rise in temperature. Here 10 joules of heat is required for the same rise in temperature. So different the shapes of the material will have different contents, due to which maybe the rise in temperature is same, maybe the height is same, but the heat capacity is different in different containers. It mainly depends on the capacity, depends on the free supply, that is nothing but known as the one thermal capacity. Think you have understood? So different shapes will have different capacity, due to which a different amount of heat is required for it, but the one temperature required will be supplied to raise it is only 1 degree centigrade. Temperature is same, height is same, but quantity is different. Because of that, the capacity you say that it depends mainly on the capacity of the substance. We are supplying that to raise the temperature, so we call thermal capacity. Is it clear? So here we have observed one based on heat capacity. Now this heat capacity, for this I can just write the one SI unit. What is the SI unit for this? Here remember quantity of heat. Heat is a form of energy. When you say heat is a form of energy, then naturally we express them in joules. What is temperature? If you are expressing it the one SI units, it is Kelvin. So here SI unit for this is joules per Kelvin. Joules per Kelvin. Because it is joules per Kelvin. What is the dimensional formula? Dimensional formula for this is where here you can say explain with respect to delta Q. Delta Q is what? That is nothing but energy, heat energy. Heat energy means energy dimensional formula. So naturally dimensional formula you can write it as dimensional formula is equal to, that is m L, that is L square e raised to minus 2 divided by temperature. Temperature is Kelvin. This is the one formula we have. So we get n to the power of 1 L square e raised to minus 2 a to the power of minus 1. This is the one dimensional formula for heat capacity. It is a dimensional formula for this. Okay. Now is it dependent on the mass? It does not depend on, it is dependent on on the mass of the substance. It depends on mass of the substance. It depends on mass. It depends on mass. And one more point I want to say. Let me say all the three containers are of same material. Maybe the one which is of aluminium, here is also aluminium, there also aluminium. Then there is no difficulty. By chance if I say this is one is iron, one is copper, one is aluminium. The materials are different, but that will never affect. Earlier explaining about the mass. So it is independent of the nature of the substance. That is nothing but the nature of the substance, I can say. It is independent of the nature of the substance. It is independent of the nature of the substance. Nature of the substance. Means here, if I say irrespective of the material, maybe this is aluminium, maybe copper, maybe iron, whatever may be the material, it does not depend on the material, it is dependent only on the mass. So it depends on mass of the substance. It is also depending on the one called as it is independent of nature of the substance. It is irrespective of the materials used in this. Okay, so this is called thermal capacity. Now, this thermal, that is also you can say this thermal capacity. One more definition I can say by using one more formula where using this one mass into specific heat is called thermal capacity. One more definition is there. I will just explain first the specific heat capacity. Then let us come for again for thermal capacity. Now, please observe to explain this specific heat capacity. Here observe, let Q amount of heat is applied to a given substance. That is, Q amount of heat is applied to given substance means where mainly depends on three factors. Here, the Q amount of heat is supplied to a given substance. It mainly depends on mass. This is the first point. It mainly depends on mass. This Q amount of heat is applied to the one for any of the substance. It is dependent on rise in temperature. It mainly depends on the rise in temperature. And also, it is mainly depends on nature of the material. Nature of the material. It depends on nature of the material. The next point, it mainly depends on a rise in temperature. For example, T2 minus a T1. What is this T2 minus T1? It is none other than called delta T. Let me write this is T2, this is T1. So this I can write. It mainly depends on the one rise in temperature. So this specific heat mainly depends on three factors. What are those? It depends on the mass of the substance. It depends on the nature of the material. It depends on the rise in temperature. Here observe. Here also we said about mass. Here also we said about rise in temperature. But it is independent of the nature of the substance, I said. It is independent of the nature of the substance. But there it depends on the nature. What do you mean by nature? For example, if you have this is copper, this is iron, this is nothing but aluminium. So different materials will have different capacity. That is mainly depends on different materials will have different heat capacity, and that is called as specific heat capacity. So this will require different heat. For copper, for iron it requires different heat. For aluminium it requires different heat. Because of this reason, different materials will have different heat capacity. Hence, it mainly depends on nature of the substance. It mainly depends on nature of the substance. Therefore, nature of the material depends, and therefore you can observe this specific heat capacity mainly depends on these three factors. One is mass, another is rise in temperature, another is nothing but the one nature of the material. Suppose if you take copper, it is different. If it is the one iron, it is different. And suppose if it is aluminium, the specific heat is different. Let me give some chart. At that time you will understand much better. So now I have given these points. By combining these three things, now let me write what is this? Q is directly proportional to, combining the 1 and 3, you can write Q is directly proportional to M into delta T. So when you remove this proportionality, what happens? Q is equal to M. For this I write the C delta T. What is this C called as? This C has arisen when you remove this proportionality. You have got a constant that is called proportionality constant, and when you just remove this proportionality, you put an equal to and then you write proportionality constant C, and this C is called as specific heat capacity of a given substance. In some textbooks they write S, in some textbooks they write C. So you are ready to write C or S. But remember, when you write C, you write small c. Because one more concept we come across now, one more called as molar specific heat. At that time, we write capital C. So you are ready to write both C or S. By chance, if you are unable to remember this, you can write S also. There is no problem. You can write S also. Okay. So for your reference, I write, for example, for your convenience, if I write instead of C, you can also write S. At that time, I can write S delta T. So S is equal to Q divided by M into delta T. S is equal to Q into, that is S Q by M into delta T. When you write this, you can also write where S is equal to Q by delta T into 1 by M. What is this Q by delta T? This Q by delta T is nothing but that is called as thermal capacity. That is called as thermal capacity. Right? And where S is called as specific heat capacity. What is this S is called as? Specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity. S is called specific heat capacity. What is this called as? Thermal capacity into that is 1 by M. So when you want to say that is one more called as thermal capacity, at that time product of mass into specific heat is also called as thermal capacity. By using this you can write. So let me write here, this can be written as where S is equal to that is specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity is equal to thermal capacity divided by M. So by using this, now once again I can write this formula, this heat capacity. For this I can write, let me write thermal capacity is equal to mass into specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity. You can also learn this product of mass into specific heat capacity is called as thermal capacity. Mass into specific heat capacity is also called as thermal capacity. So just now I said here, thermal capacity depends on mass of the substance. So thermal capacity depends on mass of the substance. Okay, now you can also explain like this. So here I have written this S. What is this S called as? Specific heat capacity. I said you are ready to write C or S. So you are ready to write S. So S is equal to Q by M into delta T. By just observing this, you are ready to say the SI unit for this is where SI unit for this is, what is it? Here it is joules. Mass is represented in denominator. So per kg per Kelvin. So joules per kg per Kelvin is called as specific heat capacity. That is SI unit is joules per kg per Kelvin. When you write the dimensional formula, please observe here you already have written the dimensional formula for this. For this dimensional formula for thermal capacity. Similarly you write, but here in this case what do you observe? For this, you are writing dimensional formula. S is equal to m L square T raised to minus 2 divided by m into k. Right? This m and m get cancelled here. So your formula becomes, that is m to the power of, this is, you write m to the power of 0, L to the power of 2, T to the power of minus 2, K to the power of minus 1. So please observe here. This specific heat capacity dimensional formula is m L square m to the power of 0, L to the power of 2, K to the power, T to the power of minus 2, K to the power of minus 1. Here you are observing this, right? Now, if you observe the same concept, if you remember here, m it is not depending on mass, it is independent of mass. It mainly depends on nature of the substance. Maybe you are taking 3 kg, 5 kg, 10 kg, whatever may be the amount of substance, but it mainly depends on nature of the material. So it is independent of mass. Here remember, here you may feel, madam, you have written directly proportional to mass, then where does this mass goes? But remember, this specific heat capacity mainly depends on nature of the material. So maybe you have taken this type of containers here. In this containers, the amount of mass you are using here, but even if it is 10 kg of mass, maybe 3 kg, maybe 1 kg, whatever may be the mass, it is dependent mainly on the nature of the material. Nature of the materials may be the copper, iron, or maybe the one aluminum. Whatever the material you are using, based on that, we explain the one specifically. So this mainly depends on nature of the material. So you can say it is mainly depends on nature. But here it is said thermal capacity, it is independent of the nature of the material. But here it mainly depends. Irrespective of the one shape, the one you are explaining here, whatever may be the shape, but here it mainly depends on nature of the material. It will never depend on shape of the object or whatever may be the mass. It mainly depends on nature of the material. So please observe, if I use this condition, then remember here is mass m, specific heat capacity you have here. So when you observe this one, then your formula becomes specific heat capacity where mass was not there, but here mass will include. At that time you get this dimensional formula. So be careful while writing dimensional formula. You need not get disturbed, because here if you write m to the power of 1 L square T raised to minus 2 K raised to minus 1, it is mainly for heat capacity or thermal capacity. But if you come across specific heat, here we are getting m to the power of 0. So if you just slightly go wrong, then you may go wrong while writing dimensional formula, maybe for specific heat or thermal capacity. So be prepared. Everything is same, but here m to the power of 0 here, but it is here is m to the power of 1. So please, by looking this only, you can remember this thermal capacity mainly depends on mass, but this specific heat capacity, it is independent of mass. You need not think that it depends on mass, whatever may be the amount of mass, but mainly depends on nature of the material. But here, whatever may be the nature of the material, it is not depending on nature, it mainly depends on mass here. Hope you understood this one. SI unit you have understood here, joules per kg per Kelvin for this, but for this you have only joules per Kelvin here. Here it is joules per Kelvin. Here it is joules, because delta Q by delta T here. But here it is joules per kg per Kelvin, and dimensional formula is this. So by looking to this, today you are able to say the thermal capacity and specific heat, how they are differing by one another, and also you have learned the concept by learning the one figures. At the same time, we have learned two definitions for thermal capacity. After learning specific heat, you can write like this. So what is it? Before you said thermal capacity, it means the ratio of heat given divided by rising temperature. It It is the ratio of heat given to the rising temperature, or thermal capacity can be defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of whole body through 1 degree centigrade is called thermal capacity. Okay, but when you want to define specific heat capacity, at that time you say the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of that is of a body of mass 1 kg through 1 Kelvin. Of mass 1 kg through 1 Kelvin is called thermal capacity. Here they are explaining for whole body, they are explaining for 1 kg. So I will repeat once again. Specific heat capacity can be defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of mass through 1 Kelvin. 1 kg of mass through 1 Kelvin is called specific heat capacity. Right? So I will write the one definition here for this and you will understand what it is. So this specific heat capacity, here I write definition. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 Kelvin through that is amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 Kelvin through 1 kg of this. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of mass, 1 kg of mass through 1 Kelvin. So this is the one definition you remember. Here please observe. Today we have learned only 2 definitions. One is thermal capacity, another is specific heat. There are many things to say about specific heat. Today let me stop here because the time is inconvenient for me to explain many factors. I will explain this in the next class. Hope you understood all these things. So please remember here heat capacity and specific heat. Today we have learned definition along with the SI unit, dimensional formula, and also we have learned on what factors does it depends regarding thermal capacity. Here specific heat, definition on what factors does it depends along with SI unit, dimensional formula, these things. So please observe, these are the things we have learned today. So let me just go for some of more concepts based on the one specific heat along with giving some examples. I will tell you how specific heat is important in our day-to-day life and how we come across in our day-to-day life. Hope you understood all these things.